Hi, so here are your parts for this mid-century modern couch. What we have are the two arms. This is the back of the couch, the bottom. These are the leg supports and the legs. Over here, your sandpaper. Then over here are just a few pieces of wood. These are the two back cushions, the bottom cushion, the fabric for the cushions, and then you also will have a pattern available that will look very, very similar. It might be part of another sheet, but it'll look like this. So let's do the easy part first, which is not upholstery. The easiest part first is to do any sanding, if you want to do some sanding, so that you can finish this with a clear coat or any kind of transparent or translucent finish. I did do my sanding already, so I'm going to kind of move that out of the way. Then what we can do is we can go ahead and put on the arms. So what we have here are this pointy side, it's, you know, the angled side, that goes to the back. So these will be glued here on either side up to the edges and square like this with the angled part to the back. So I'm going to glue that on and be right back. Okay, so the next thing is to glue this back on. So what you're going to do is place that right in between these two. So you'll go ahead and put glue along here, here, and here, and just kind of skinny this on down in there like that. And then kind of hold the sides so that this is straight and it'll fit right in there. There's a little 2 millimeter spot that will fit in. So we'll do that next. Okay, so the back is on. We're good to go. What we can do now is just turn this upside down, and we're just going to glue this piece. Make sure that it has the same amount of distance all the way around, basically. So you kind of center it. And I wouldn't put the legs on yet, but what it's intended to do is to hold the legs in place. But I would wait on the legs if I were you. Okay, now we're ready for some upholstery. You'll receive patterns like this. They have the exact measurements on it, so you could just measure and mark your fabric. Maybe you have a white pencil or something like that. This is a very thick fabric, and it's the same on both sides. So you know, I don't think a ballpoint pen or something is going to work so well. Now, what you can do then is cut these apart, and using your non-sewing scissors here, you can just cut them along the line and do it that way, or you can cut it with your X-Acto. Here's some advice though. You know, you have probably many different ways that you do this. But in order to get at least one good straight line, and this is actually pretty good, what I'm doing is actually pulling at the edges, and I want to pull those edges that are hanging off, any fraying, and I want to use the fraying to help me, because the more that I pull this stuff off, don't just fray it, weave the whole piece, of course. But when I do this, and those actually cut pretty straight, it looks like, now it gives me a perfectly straight line to line up. All I have to do is go in here and trim off the little hairs that'll be sticking out. And when I go along here like so, now I know that this corner, and I can use my board to help me, but this corner now is really nice and straight to work with. Time for tiny upholstery. So let's start with the bottom cushion. I haven't been able to really figure out a right and a wrong side to this fabric, but this has more little pieces of fluff on it, so I'm going to call this the wrong side. We want the wrong side, and we can now really tell that I need to trim that up, but that's okay. Not going to worry about that. What we're going to do is get the edge right up there, and I want this fabric to really cover up. If this is my top, I really want it to come almost just slightly over the edge. Okay, so what we're doing, and you can glue this to the surface if you want to, I generally don't, but what we're ultimately doing is we're wrapping this like this. I'm just putting it in a little wrap. Okay, so we want that just maybe a little tiny bit from this edge, little bit in, and I'll trim that, and then just fold one of the sides in. Okay, it really doesn't matter which one. You're gonna go ahead and put your glue in there. I'm just gonna go ahead and do a big batch of it. And we're going to wind up gluing all over this whole back. So I can put, you know, quite a bit of glue. And just fold this, but fold it. So I want to maintain that extra. I want everything straight. Tiny upholstery isn't particularly easy, but it looks so good when it's finished. Okay, so I want to glue that down and check this side. Yeah, I want that to be nice and pretty. And then what I'll do, this is where I was making the suggestion that you might have some clips like this. These are just little sewing clips, or even if you just have clothespins or something. This is gluing fairly well without clipping it down, but when we get to the back cushions, you're going to probably want them. So you can go ahead and clip this to hold this. I'm just going to go ahead and put more glue and do this other side now. And they should fold over. If everything was cut straight, they should just meet with maybe just a little bit of extra. And just take your thumbs, kind of push it. And if there's a little bit of extra there, you're just going to trim that or leave it. It's not going to show. Okay, we're ready for the back cushions. So what we want to do is take one of the cushion pieces. I know they're wooden, but you're going to put a lot of glue on this one of the long ends. And what we're going to try to do is put most of the glue there. Don't need it on the front. We're going to place this about here. Now, what we're doing is we're wanting to glue this fabric pretty much just to that end, but we can have a little extra glue right here. Okay, because we're going to wrap this up like so, and then we're going to use our clips and pull that, make sure that the fabric is really in contact with that wood and the glue there, and really clamp this down. What will happen here is we'll try to get that edge, just that part, glued down. And then we'll be able to trim off some fabric. So we want that to be nice and tight up against there. And we're probably going to have to wait a while for that to dry. Making these back cushions, there's a lot of waiting for the glue to dry. I think this is dry. So now what I'm going to do is cut. I want to trim, I don't want this to detach if I can help it. I want to trim kind of right along the edge there, so that I have a little tiny portion covered right here. And looks like the glue is, yeah, it's dry. Okay, so I can pull at those little fuzzies a little bit, but I don't want to do it too much. Okay, because I just want that edge covered here. But I want to get rid of that extra fabric. So that was my point in doing that. So now what I can do is I'm going to fold these in like so. And I know there's a little bit of extra, and we'll deal with the little bit of extra later. I'm going to fold these in. I'm going to glue these down like this, and I'm going to wait again. So I want to put plentiful amount of glue here and here. And then, and I can do cleaning up after I get this all clipped. And I want that to stay down and this to stay down. And if there's like some overlap here, then we do want to go ahead and trim that, you know, so like I have a tiny bit of overlap just from stretching the fabric out. And so I can trim that and then pull from the front and do like so. So I want to clip this down. I know this needs to be cleaned up, but I want to clip everything so that it will glue real well. Oops. Like this. I think this is dry enough that we can go to the next step, which you're going to turn it to the front here and really press down on the top. Take your finger and really press down on the top. And then we're going to fold this over, and hopefully it comes down to the edge or almost to the edge. And we can do some trimming later on that if we need to, but we're gonna get that folded down real well. And once again, we're gonna be gluing a lot more glue again, so a lot more patience, but we're taking this, I've been waiting so long, my glue dried up. Here we go. And we're gonna do a lot more and kind of go to the edges and get that in there real well, and clip this once again until it is nice and dry. We're going to clip that down and wait. Okay, so I took off all of the clips, and I've been doing a little bit of trimming of some loose pieces and so forth. And so when you're done with that, then you can do the other one, or maybe you've been doing them at the same time, and then you're good and ready to go. Thank you so much for your purchase.